look like a nightmare. Sorry. Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race, season 13, episode 9, The Snatch Game, and there's approximately 90 million queens left. No, I'm kidding. There's 9. There's 9 queens left, which is a lot for episode 8. I'm looking at a nightmare. I have work to do, but I've got to get this done or I won't get it done for days, and only a few of you stay anyway. So we come back from our double Shantae. Someone made a really good point on Twitter, which is it would have made a lot more sense if they had kept Candy and sent Simone and then kept Simone, because Simone has been, the idea that she would go home would have been so shocking. Anyway, I'm not in charge. We have T.S. Madison again as a judge. I wouldn't even notice this until I saw the special. I talked about the fact that they had repeat judges and how it was kind of nice to see someone that they had seen before and kind of get a sense of it. They do a quick drag, punk drag. I thought it was really fun. It's fun to remember that RuPaul, for all of the like slick, polished glamour, really started off in the alternative scene. Not that drag is an alternative, but the more direct punk rock scene, which is something I forget, even though I know. So everybody picks their Snatch Game character. We're finally at Snatch Game. RuPaul is in the Good and Plenty suit. I thought I was so clever. I was like, what is that pattern remind me of? And then I remember Good and Plenty's, which I love as a candy. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and look it up. So we have Utica's Bob Ross with a squirrel wig. And I appreciate that, you know, not wanting to appropriate and being very careful about culture, but it's not like Bob Ross put on a fake afro and now it seems culturally inappropriate. But we have the same argument we do every single Snatch Game. Every single time we have like, are you sure? How you can make that character funny? This character's so well known, like you end up with like a Cher, which was Chad Michaels, and you go, okay, you love Cher, you're a Cher impersonator. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do a good job? And then Chad Michaels knocks it out of the park, and then at the same time you can do someone like we see in this episode of Rue Mcclanahan or Blanche. I mean, they kept saying it was Rue Mcclanahan, but it wasn't Rue Mcclanahan the person, it was Blanche, it was her character. So anyway, but I guess it's one of those things like B. Arthur where them as a person is beyond, like a Betty White, is beyond a Rose Island. Anyway, sorry. Elliot with 2 T's is Rue Mcclanahan / Blanche. Simone is Harriet Tubman. Great example of like, is this going to be the most amazing character you're going to see, or is it going to land flat? And you know, we have these discussions about like, oh, that character is going to be hard. Are any of them easy? I mean, like, yeah, you could say that an obscure character might be easier, but is it really? I mean, I would just say that humor's hard, and while I might say an individual person might do a stretch or harder or this or that, I'm not going to say that I think that there's like universal answers that I think are easier or harder. So Simone is Harriet Tubman, Utica's Bob Ross with that wig. Made a comment about the original ASMR. I'm not convinced RuPaul knows what ASMR is. I couldn't tell if that was RuPaul's face, like, what is ASMR? Or if that was RuPaul's face of like, this is such a bad idea, the way you're describing it is terrible. Okay, Tina Burner was going to do Jennifer Coolidge or Richard Simmons. Totally does like a, oh yeah, I did Jennifer Coolidge on my audition tape, and Rue's like, yeah, a lot of people do. I don't remember yours. I thought that was kind of funny. Olivia Lux as Tabitha Brown. Same thing, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, everybody knows who Tabitha Brown is. Well, not everyone's on TikTok or Instagram, but it's another example of, like, is this going to be great? Because, and I think it's less about whether people know them or not. It's whether you actually have anything. Because Olivia's problem wasn't that it was an obscure character. It was that she didn't say anything funny. Sorry, Olivia. Candy Moose was Patrick Starr, another example of a character that, I mean, I know of Patrick Starr. I don't know, I think I could pick Patrick Starr of a lineup. Don't know any catchphrases, but nothing that Candy Muse said. Like, there's a couple of times someone has said something that was a reference that people, like, when someone did Eartha Kitt, was it Chi-Chi DeVayne did Eartha Kitt and did the joke about the wrong lever, and no one got it. that was like one of the only examples I can think of, but actually something that's kind of funny that people missed because they didn't know the character. They didn't know that Eartha Kitt was in, I can't even think of the name of the movie, but one of the big jokes was they pull the wrong lever and Eartha. Anyway, it was a cartoon. Tell me who it is. I want to say Hercules, but I don't think it was Hercules. I haven't seen it, but I know that I still know the reference. Rosetta is Mary Queen of Scots, which made very few references to the historical. It mostly was a hilarious Scottish accent, which is fine. I liked it. Same with Got Mick was Paris Hilton. I thought Paris Hilton was going to crash and burn. People had done Paris Hilton, and it was, like they said, it's kind of like you take the trappings of a Paris Hilton and then you create this other creature underneath it. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I don't know, I grew up with Paris Hilton, so I mean, the same way everybody else did. But I don't necessarily know that if I just heard a couple things, I would have instantly known it was Paris Hilton, but they were funny, even if I didn't. Anyway, Denali did Jonathan Van Ness. That's someone who I know who that is. I've seen some episodes of the new Queer Eye, but I don't have a huge amount of cultural references to, which I know I'm on the outside of that. Then we had Raven and Pork Chop. Pork Chop's looking great. So good to see you, Pork Chop. Anyway, they do the game. Bob Ross had a definite serial killer vibe, but not like in a funny way, not in a interesting way. Didn't sound anything like Bob Ross. I don't know if it wasn't for the pictures, that I even would have known it was Bob Ross. Anyway, we had, I think this is one of the better Snatch games we've had in terms of, we did have some standouts. I feel like a couple of seasons we've had, it just felt like everyone was floundering. And what I didn't feel like it was that frantic feeling. It certainly wasn't like the early seasons. If you saw some of the early seasons, like the Snooki with Large and in Charge, Chunky, Young Funky, Latrice Royale, that, if you remember that season, it was like a hot mess and people were drowning and so they got louder and it wasn't really that. Anyway, we end up with Simone, Tina Burner. Oh, did I say Tina Burner? Yeah. So there was a lot of things that were just like Tina Burner as Richard Simmons wasn't bad, but wasn't good. It was there. It was like you wouldn't laugh, but you might smile. So there was a lot of safes. Candy wasn't bad, wasn't great. It was pretty clear to me. Now, I would have put Simone over Denali. If we look at this episode, which you should be doing this episode, I thought Harriet Tubman was funnier than her Jonathan Van Ness. I thought her outfit was better than Denali's. So I would have put Simone in the top and I would have put Denali in the safe. But if you look season-wide, I'm glad Denali was in the top this time because there were times that Denali should have been in the top and wasn't. So if we look over the whole season report card, this was fair to me. But the same way I pointed out when I thought Denali should have been in the top and was safe, I'm going to point out that I think Simone should have been in the top. I thought Harriet Tubman was super interesting. The whole presence, the thing that Simone has done consistently across the entire season is having such a strong point of view and a gosh, I'm trying to think of the exact word I want to use for this, which is like bringing a presence to a strong point of view that is important. It's sort of like how we always talked about Sasha Velour as being a political comedian. Simone is both sorry, I'm really floundering here to find just the right words, and it's almost on the tip of my head, but Simone is stunningly gorgeous while also having a really strong political point of view and a cultural point of view in a way that is so beautiful. Because sometimes people can kind of go like, I can be beautiful, or I can make a point of, like, I can have a point of view, a political or a ethnic or a racial or however you want to think it, the point of view. And it's like at some point they decide they're going to do one or the other. Simone does them together in a way that's just visually, it's like art. It's art. Art is meant to evoke an emotion, and that's what she's doing. It's truly art. Gorgeous, visually interesting, has a strong point of view, is telling a message, is telling a story. is beautiful. And if Simone is not in the top 3, it would be shocking. And a lot of people consider her to be a front runner for winning. And I think it'd be silly to not acknowledge that Simone has had a lot of strong showings and very few stumbles. So anyway, so that's Simone. Technically was safe. I kind of disagree. But they put Denali for Jonathan Van Ness. And they do a fascinator, the fascinating fascinators, which are little hats. And so they all had that runway. Like I said, Simone's was just so beautiful tribute, stunningly beautiful tribute to African Americans who have been victims of police violence. And it was just like, and it was like beautiful, beautiful. And then she turns around and the message was on the back, and it was like it caught you off guard because you thought you understood what you were seeing, all that. Anyway, the outfits were across the board. I thought that they were beautiful. I almost ignore them because they were all, while there were moments that were higher and lower, no one was so out there that you thought, oh, we should ignore this. And when it comes to Snatch Game, we know that you're kind of ignoring the outfits. We're kind of only going off of that. So Denali was there for Jonathan Van Ness. Rosé was there for Mary Queen of Spots. Got Mick was there for Paris Hilton. Got Mick won. Totally fine with it. None of these performances for me were on the level with some of the ones that were so funny in the past, but they were all super good. So just, you know, that's fine. Anyway, when we get to the bottom, it's not really a surprise. Both Olivia and Utica in the backstage area were like, oh, I think I did pretty good. And everyone else is like, you know, Utica's was definitely like serial killer strange and was so slow. It didn't sound like Bob Ross. And Olivia was the same thing. She just didn't say anything that was funny. Whether you know who Tabitha Brown was or not, it didn't make me think that her depiction of Tabitha Brown didn't make me think, oh, this Tabitha Brown person is someone interesting. It was almost like she was going to have it like where she wants meat, but it just didn't come off that way. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, you saw it. If you either agree or you don't agree. Elliot did Rue Mcclanahan, who I thought a couple of her jokes were a little better than what landed. Like, what do you want in a man? What do you want in a man? And she said men, and I thought it wasn't the best joke, but it was clear to me that that was the joke. And then Rue kind of repeated it, and she said it again. And I was kind of like, okay, you might not like the joke, but it's pretty clear what the joke was. Anyway, maybe just Rue didn't hear, or she mumbled, or, you know, because they're mic'd and all that. Anyway, I actually thought Olivia and Utica would have been on the bottom, but Olivia, which makes sense, they put Olivia safe. Olivia's had some really strong showing. And Snatch Game is, I don't judge anyone too harshly on Snatch Game because we've seen amazing queens who are hilariously funny bomb Snatch Game. And we've seen, I mean, if you do well in Snatch Game, it happened for a reason. Like, you made smart choices. But I've also seen smart queens just not get their footing and you know, maybe they should all be practicing this. Like, maybe there should be Snatch Games at home and people are practicing. Anyway, Utica and Elliot lip sync. It would have been a shock if Elliot had stayed just because of the track record. Elliot goes home, so now we're down to 8 queens. And that is my review. Tell me what you think. How are you coming along? All that stuff. Okay, bye.